And if you see those colors behind me, it is because we are talking about the latest interaction, that initiative by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President, in respect of what his plans are for job creation and digitalization. But all of that is contained in a report from the Botiman Sports Center. Let's watch that.
The atmosphere at the Botiman Sports Complex was electric as over 2,000 young people, both in person and online, gathered to hear the NPP flag bearer share his vision for tackling youth unemployment in the country. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia pledged to equip 1 million youth with IT skills and launch a $100 million Fintech Fund to support Ghanaian tech startups.
I want to see Ghana build the digital talent we require for the fourth industrial revolution. You need digital talent. This will mean providing digital and software skills to hundreds and thousands of youth. In collaboration with the private sector, we will train at least 1 million youth in IT skills, including software developers, coders, to provide job opportunities worldwide. We will establish a Fintech Fund with a seed capital of $100 million to attract additional private sector funding to support Ghanaian startups.
Dr. Bawumia also criticized the NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama, calling him an inconsistent leader who fails to recognize digitalization's role in economic transformation, urging Ghanaians to keep Mr. Mahama away from the presidency.
My opponent, the former president, to put it mildly, is very inconsistent. He opposed free senior high school, saying it was bogus and will collapse the economy. But today he says he introduced it. He, as president, introduced the teacher licensure exams. But today he says he opposes it. He abolished teacher and nursing training allowance. He said he would abolish it even if it cost him the presidency. But today he says he will continue to pay them. He is not committed to it. It's just for political expedience. He has touted in the past infrastructure as one of his achievements. But because our infrastructure record is superior to his, today he says that infrastructure doesn't matter. How can we have a leader who doesn't appreciate the value of digitalization in a digital global economy? He should not be allowed close to the presidency with that mindset.
Well, the big question we've been asking the youth who are gathered here is how sure are they that the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, would be able to deliver on the jobs he's promising them?
He has done it before. He has enrolled so many digitalization projects in Ghana, which is obvious for everyone to see. So we believe in him and we have confidence that he will do it when he comes.
I used to go around to look for where to buy just electricity. Now I can do it and pay via Momo. These are practical solutions, and given the opportunity, I tend to believe him than any other candidate in the sense that these are deliverable and they are clear there for me to see.
Well, the youth of the MPP are so confident that the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if given the opportunity, would be able to deliver the jobs they so much need for the next 4 years. So reporting from the Botiman Sports Complex here in Accra, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Well, joining me in the studio, Dennis Miracles Abwaji. He, of course, is Director of Communications of the Bawumia campaign. He is in the studio here with me to elaborate on this. Dennis, good morning.
Good morning, bro.
Apome.
We're good. Yourself?
Okay. By God's grace. We were just laughing before we came on air that we have our own struggles from his end and from my end. But let's look at what happened, just over the weekend and this entire engagement with the youth. Why this engagement in the first place?
To be very honest with you, this election is mainly about the young people of this country. And it's simply so because every other thing we intend to work hard hovers around them. So we discussed the core of the economy, and you'd realize that largely you need to be able to tap into the productive human resource that you have for them to all contribute to that space for us to improve, and that's the young people. You cannot continue to have an economy where you're not building the skill set of the young people, and you're not creating opportunities for them even after they acquire the skills. So it is crucial, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia realized that having created over 2.6 million jobs as of now, we still have millions of young people who still require some jobs to do. And so the question is, how are we able to get these jobs delivered to these young people? And how do we get them along to understand that this is the plan and this is what they need to do? So for example, you have a young person that has some interest in working within the digital economy. And this person needs to know what the plans are. He needs to understand what the initiatives would be in his decision to choose between the 12 or 13 candidates vying for presidency. And so today they know that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has plans to train 1 million young people in digital skills, which includes all forms of digital skills. And on the back of that, he has plans to establish a $100 million Fintech Fund to support these young people to be able to set up and establish businesses and what have you. And so it was important that yesterday he engaged the Ghanaian youth on what his plans and his specific initiatives would be in terms of job creation for the young people of this country.
He mentions that the youth are his top priority and that he will do everything to sustain them by way of jobs. You do know that the economy is going to be one of the major issues we're going to look at, including job creation ahead of election 2024.
Absolutely.
But the bit about the $100 million for the Fintech fund, what shape, what form is it going to take?
Well, it's simply available for you to come up with the idea, incubate it, and then once it's an idea that is believed to be sustainable and workable, the government will give you the necessary push through the fund for you to establish, and then of course you recoup, and then others can also tap into it.
So, but what form? So I have done a lot in that particular space. If you look at EcoBank, for example, it's Fintech Challenge, which is not just within the region. It even sometimes gets participants from outside the region, but with some roots in Africa. It's major. I don't know whether you followed it.
Yes, I have.
There are a number of these on the continent of Africa doing different things. That's why I ask, what shape will it take?
The point is that government believes that is going to be a huge driving force. And so the difference between that of the states and that of EcoBank probably will be to ensure that it's a bit more accessible to a lot of young people. At least let's reduce the bottleneck a bit and make it a bit more friendly in terms of accessing it to these young people. So that would be the major, maybe let's say, departure between what the government would want to do and what private sector would do. You understand that when it comes to private sector, they always have profit in focus. But for government, it's about the social good, and it's about stimulating the economy for all of us. So that would be a major departure from what probably you have experienced.
What I'm more conversant with.
Yes.
Why $100 million? How are we sourcing the money, and how many youth are we targeting? I mean, or is it just because you said if you have an idea? How about if you have 1,000 people with an idea, when maybe the fund is meant to reach about 2 million people?
I mean,
so what is the concept?
Yes, there could be 500 that, I mean, in terms of hierarchy, you're always going to have some ideas beating the others. If you have an idea and I have
some that are more viable.
And mine is more viable and can employ maybe 100 people, and yours will do 20. Clearly, if we have to prioritize to share the little we have, we'll give to the one that can employ 100 over the one that can do 50. And then, of course, if that one gives the needed return, then the 50 can also tap into. But that is an available fund. We're going to look at the best of ideas, the best of initiatives, so that we don't have a lot of young people losing out. So they come up with so many, strategies, so many ideas, they incubate them, they come up with innovations, and they don't get that needed backing and support to be able to. Those are critical things that government needs to do to stimulate the economy and get a lot of young people off the unemployment bracket. I mean, let's create more entrepreneurs. Let's create more independent, employed young people. And the fintech space is unlimited. I mean, there is no ending to it if you look at it critically. It's a space of freedom for people to think, come up with things, and benefit, and also allow the entire economy to benefit. So I think it's a very, very important initiative, especially for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who believes that the next phase of Ghana's economic development should 100% be hinged on the digital economy.
All right. So that's an interesting concept. You've still not told me of how we are getting, and you see the how of getting these dynamics. The state has a pool of money, our money, tax money, and all of that. But it's also not a bottomless pit. You get it. And we are an IMF supported.
Before we came to
so I just want to find out, sometimes when these promises are made from different
It's about priorities.
Okay, so we are going to have to move from some end to come to this.
It's about priorities. Before we came to office, Ghana used to spend about 6 billion a year on education. Nana Akufo-Addo came to office hugely on the back of education. And today we spent over 18 billion. In 8 years, we spent close to about 129 billion.
Free SHS alone over this period.
We've had an opponent that says, if I have 2 billion, I won't spend it on free SHS. That's his choice. So it's about priorities.
But he's also said that he is in full support.
No, but he said, I'm only saying what he said. Okay. That he says, and I'm not saying it I'm not saying it or putting it on him. He said that if he has 2 billion, he won't put it into free SHS. Nana Akufo-Addo says, if I have 2 billion or more, I'll put it into free SHS. At
a certain time, in a certain context. What is clear? I'm only saying what is clear is that per the Afrobarometer report, over 85% of
absolutely
say that. So it's not even a conversation.
No, it is. It is, because another government could come and 90% would want it and he won't do it. It's just an issue of priorities.
Okay.
That's all. I mean, one government comes in and says, I'll give free education to secondary students. Another government says, I'll do it for day students and I'll do it. I mean, it's all about priorities.
The good thing, you know the good thing about this campaign?
No, tell me.
The fact that many of the promises that are being made are similar across the board.
I mean, they've got the
even on education.
But the challenges are the same.
So, I mean, no, you've made mention of this here, but people can decide to address. Look at the pensions issue. If you look at what your party is proposing and what the NDC is proposing, they are just minor. It's practically
I think I've said that. I've made that point here.
It's okay, because whichever party is in power, we can hold you to the same thing.
Because the challenges are the same. However, the priorities of the leaders differ. And that is where the difference comes in. Okay. And that is why today, under the former president, Mahama, we had close to about 100,000 dropping out of senior high school education every year. But today, we have all of them who are willing and ready enrolled. The priorities. Right. The Nana Akufo-Addo government has prioritized ensuring that every Ghanaian child that is willing and ready to get educated for senior high school is doing that. Another government may come and said, well, I think I should focus on tertiary. Another one we say, I think I should just focus on. So it's all about priorities.
It's all about the dynamics.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is committed to the Fintech Fund.
Right.
It would raise the needed fund.
Okay, so what it means is that if we have to lower investments in this sector and we feel we can manage it and push that money here, pick money from here, it's basically priorities.
Yes,
basically.
Or maybe even raise more. Because don't forget, he's also
the raise more equation is pretty tricky right now because of the economic.
It's not. It's all about the strategies. It's all about the strategy. For example, if you listen to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia critically, you realize that heavy in his conversation is tax reforms, and the tax reforms that he is initiating are tax reforms that are not necessarily going to increase taxes, but are tax reforms that is going to make the tax regime very convenient for both the collector and the payer, which in turn would encourage a lot more people to participate. Because already you know that our ratio, in terms of those who are paying taxes in Ghana, is extremely low. So we have a lot more people that could pay more, could pay taxes.
When you say the ratio is very low, in terms of the number of people, the people who pay taxes,
who are capable of paying taxes.
High, but it's the fact that it's the fact that we have many more people who, apart from indirect taxes, are not paying the direct taxes that they ought to pay. Come on,
we are not talking about the
we are talking about the direct taxes. So we must put it into perspective.
Every country, hold on. Every country, in spite of the direct taxes, have been direct taxes. When we speak of state taxes, in this case, in the context in which we are speaking of, we are talking about the direct taxes. That's why indirect taxes everybody pays. We are even paying direct taxes to the US, even though we are in Ghana. So we are talking about the direct taxes, and we are saying that there are a lot of people who are still not contributing to the kitty. And if all these people should begin to contribute, you could even pay less taxes now. Because the numbers will...
Well, it makes sense. Obviously, if more people are paying...
So you don't necessarily have to cut down on other areas, but you could still have creative ways to raise more without burdening the citizens and get a needed fund to do all the things you want to do.
So he also makes the point that he is one for, and he's going to push to offer good jobs with good pay.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at Ghana, one of the problems here which is also leading to some brain drain, though we would say that brain drain has always been with us. But if you're looking at some of the people who are leaving, I always say that I have friends, I interact with them, and what they tell me is that, listen, if I'm going to even be here, you know, there are a lot of people, Ghanaians as well, going to Kenya, Tanzania. Sometimes we think it's just the Western countries and the rest. Right here in Africa, because of better opportunities, even as teachers, as whatever it is.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. But could we sustain that manpower here
Kenya,
if there were enough jobs here?
Again, let me address this issue. There's nothing wrong with that. Kenya is exporting hundreds of thousands to Germany as we speak. So there's nothing. The Kenya you mentioned. Let me explain.
Okay,
I am saying that you don't call it brain drain. Today, 2024, you no longer call it brain drain. You call it human resource export. Philippines is sending home billions of dollars from human resource export.
Right.
India is exporting billions of dollars in human resource export.
What quota of their human resource pool? You see, that's where the question is. It's not about every country.
What's our quota? What is our quota?
Wait. Every country exports manpower. Why? We've had the Cubans here for a long time, doctors and all of that. I studied.
So it's important to put it in context.
But the point is that if we want to do these, we should start looking at, okay, so what quota of my human resource is going out?
It's not about quota. It's about
how much more do I need?
It's not about
here?
The quota.
When you're making a point, I'll let you make your point. If it is engineers, if it is accountants, if it is whichever category, how many of them do I need in a given period? How many of them are going out? And how is that impacting my economy?
Absolutely. Have you done that? And I'll give you a quick reason why I think you don't call it brain drain. For example, Ghana has one of the best health professionals you can find.
That we know. Many of them in the UK.
Today, we are generating tens of thousands of nurses and forget even the doctors, but nurses and other health professionals every year. In fact, we are even generating a lot more than we have spaces for. And so if you have nurses that are available that you've trained, and they are in demand in UK and in Germany, what do you do? What I actually think the state should do is to have a proper coordination of sending these nurses. I thought we
started something like that.
Yes, to sending these nurses to these countries to go and work and support them. Because as we speak now, we are now even completing a lot more of our health infrastructure. We have a lot of health professionals who are turning out every year.
That's the other side of the problem. It's not so much, you see, you said that space is available.
Yes.
But the point is, at the same time, it's not that there's no need for those health professionals, because you go to certain areas in this country and you have a CHIPS compound in a community and that's it.
But don't jump it.
Hold. So the health requirements are there. The fact that we don't have a place to push them.
Let's contextualize the conversation.
Is what the problem is, which means let's create more room for them.
Let's contextualize. So until you create the room, the human resources are available. So you don't leave him at home because you haven't created a room yet.
But I also realize the other side of it, that once they go, it's pretty difficult.
But you are churning it.
You have a rotational
But
system.
you are churning out every year. You are churning out every year to the extent that you have backlog of nurses and health professionals that you haven't even posted.
Okay, so as far as you are concerned, it's not a problem.
It's not a big deal. I'm saying that in the 2024 global economy, human resource is seamless. They are borderless. And that if you have a skill in a particular area, it's like when you're doing mining, even in Ghana, anything mining, go to Australia. Go and get the Australians. In the US, anything tech, IT, go to India. Go and get the Indians. You understand? If you go to the US, they will tell you that if you want the handymen, the carpenters, and the masons, go to the Mexicans and get them and the Spanish to come and help you work. Ghana should be known for something. And if we have the human resource and the skill in a certain area, and we have excess of it at the moment as we can accommodate, it is important that we export them. And we don't have to demonize that. There is nothing wrong with that. First world countries are deliberately exporting human resource. China, Japan, USA, Germany, they are exporting human resource in expertise and areas where they are extremely competent in. And that's what the world is moving towards now.
Let's talk about power.
And that's why, that is why actually in our manifesto, we have a whole section for jobs abroad program. Because we believe that in the fourth industrial revolution, in the global economy that we are building now, you need to be ready for it. We need to create a legal framework for it. Because we need to ensure that the regulations are there for it. And we need to ensure that even certification, the TVET that we are doing in Ghana, and the TVET requirement that is needed in Germany, how are we synchronizing it and make sure that they are aligned so that when our people complete the TVET training that we've modernized and we are doing for them, they will be ready for export for some of these economies. There's nothing wrong with that.
Let me just ask you this. Since you spoke about health, we were supposed to, produce some, I think, nurses for Barbados and all of that. Did that project take off?
Yes.
How many have we sent to Barbados?
I will not be able to get a figure, but we have, as a matter of fact, we have nurses in Barbados right now.
Currently?
Yes. And I think there are some 2 other countries that are even.
And what systems are in place? You were talking about these systems to ensure that, of course, the state is getting its cut.
I think we need to improve.
We have a system
I think we need to improve on the systems. For instance, at the moment, these things are done through the sector ministries. I am of the view that
health ministry.
I am of the view that it must be done through the labor ministry. We need to strengthen some of the regulations. We need to strengthen some of the legislations around some of these things. But you agree that these are new areas that we are venturing into. And so it's part of our manifesto to sit down and ensure that we build legislations and legal frameworks and regulations to guide and create a right funnel to get these things done in a way that will protect our citizens as they go out there and make sure that they are getting the needed conditions and welfare for them.
I wanted to move on to what he said about power, but I have a senior citizen, and that's how the person addresses himself. Please ask, you say the MPP gentleman, his name is Dennis Miracles Abwaje. What is the ratio of a doctor to patients in Ghana before they are bent on exporting human resources? It goes on and on, but what would you say? Because I've also read reports.
I've explained to you.
In the past. No, just answer this person's
So the explanation is simple. If we think that we have enough than what we can accommodate at the moment in every sector, let's export it.
Okay.
Don't let us keep them idle.
So, senior citizen, that's your response. Let's talk about power. He made mention of the fact that, there was a comparison there with the Mahama administration. He spoke about the prolonged power outages and all of that. And he urged the youth to consider the 2 choices in voting: a return to past failures or the opportunity for renewed leadership. In terms of power outages, there are this latest batch of power outages that we've been facing. I face it where I live. I don't know whether you face it. People in the Ashanti region talk about it in the Greater Accra region. I don't know about other regions. What's the latest on that? And how do we take such a promise, especially when even now we're still encountering some power outages?
In the past few days, we've had some challenges with gas supply.
Few days?
Yes.
For me, it's been over a month.
Well, so at least it's not 4 years like we experienced in the past with gas supply. And that has led to some challenges in certain areas.
Gas supplies.
Set power in certain areas. Okay, and that's something that government is working on. We've gone through this before. You remember somewhere around May this year, we had challenges for about 6 weeks, and it was resolved. And this will also be resolved immediately without any difficulty or challenge. But that is why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's proposition on power is geared towards solar. And it's important that that is noted. That is why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's proposition on power is geared towards solar. So his conversation on power has been on solar. It has nothing to do with hydro. It has nothing to do with gas. He stated categorically that we need to be able to increase the contribution of solar power to our national mix so that we can beat down the cost of power for our industries, especially. Because once our industries are getting less priced power, it is going to reduce the operational cost, and it's going to have a bearing on the prices to the consumers. So it's important that we put it on record that he speaks of solar power and not hydro and gas, because he acknowledges the challenges. Hydro gas comes with some cost. Some
solar
operational
also
costs
comes with a cost.
But operational costs that are higher than the solar power. The solar power doesn't go through all these challenges where there's a gas pipeline that is broken, there's a gas pipeline that is blasted. It's like, no. You are harnessing it from the skies. And everybody agrees that is far, far cheaper.
What brings to mind, I don't know whether it's Bui or something. They started a solar.
The solar farm.
I don't know whether it's Bui or one of those. But I have to check. I would have asked you for the status of that. But since you don't, then I think you may not. But anyway, let's look at, the fact though is that we seem to have had, all the days from Doomsaw and the NDC to now, constant or recurrent power challenges. Whether it's Mohammed's 24-hour economy or Dr. Bawumia's digital or digitalization agenda, power must be secure for the same fourth industrial revolution he's talking about. Why do you think we're here?
It must be stable. It must be less costly. That's the only way we can survive in any of the propositions. And that is why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in his plan, didn't leave power out. And read his power proposition, I insist that he acknowledges it, and that is why he says it is time to move towards solar. It is reliable, it is cheaper, it is consistent. And that is his proposition. That solves the challenges that you raise, and that solves the challenges that you refer to as recurrent.
He also expressed commitment to fostering a sort of environment where young people are able to express themselves, they partake in leadership and all of that. What exactly does he mean? He's
already indicated that he thinks that one of the transformations we need to introduce into our education and our training or our curriculum is a mindset reorientation. We need to build a lot more confident young Ghanaians.
Are you talking of a revision of the curriculum?
Absolutely. In 2024, the fourth industrial revolution that we are embracing, we cannot continue with the curriculum that we have. And we've already started. Today, when you go to Abomusu STEM school, the students in Abomusu STEM school, which is a senior high school, are studying aviation. They are studying aeronautics. They are doing things that we regularly don't do in our schools. If you go to...
Is it one of the STEM schools?
Yes,
or which one?
Yes, it's one of the STEM schools. Okay. If you go to Accra High School today, they have a robotics lab where students in Accra will go there and they are building things and trying to do things with their fingers. That is a sort of that's the sort of thinking Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is saying we should introduce into our curriculum. If you go to Kwada, so we are almost done with the creative art school, and this is going to be a senior high school that is purely focused on the creative arts. So you go there and you are learning probably how to do production, casting, direction, props, TV presenter, whatever it is. But at least the child leaves the basic school and is being focused towards areas where he...
So they leave with something.
Exactly. You know, that's the sort of thing he's talking about. That's the sort of planning he's talking about. And if we have senior high school students who are using laboratories and auto mechanic shops that have auto simulation centers, you know, we are preparing them for the 11 or more automobile companies that we've set up in the country at the moment. And that is what he's talking about. He's saying that we shouldn't go to school and just go and study the CRS and the religious and moral studies and the literature and get out. Let us churn out, generate young Ghanaians who come out and they are ready to do amazing things like we are seeing. And it can be done because the field that we've tried is working. McGee's, that is my municipality. When I was MC, won international robotic competition twice. And these girls, when you go to the school, they are building things. At the moment, they are doing amazing things. Prempeh College has won it before. And these are competitions they won against Japan and Korea and the United States of America and what have you. And that's what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is talking about, that we need to build a lot more of these things. Go to East Legon, amazing STEM school that has been put there. And this STEM school is not doing the regular grammar training that we put a lot of our children through. Go to Kwabenya, the KGs that we are building now are fully digitalized KGs, where they are using smart boards and they are using tablets for these KGs, so that they grow already shaped to compete with the rest of the world.
He also speaks about Agenda 111 and completion. Before I get into the numbers, because he's talking about employing between 70,000 and 72,000 health personnel. We were talking about those and something else. I would ask that not just you politicians, you tend to use the term churn out. It has a negative context it's like a fan belt. You keep producing without quality. I suggest you use other terms because churn out it comes with negativity. It's like mass production without quality.
I'll look into the grammar afterwards.
But let's go into the 70 to 72,000 jobs that are likely to be created. First, starting off with Agenda 111. What is the state of completion?
So between 45 and 47 of them will be commissioned before the end of the year.
45 to 47. When you say commissioned, what do you mean? Because a hospital...
and used. It will be commissioned and used.
Okay, so equipment, everything,
yes. As we speak,
staff assigned.
As we speak, most of them are already, near completion in terms of installation of the equipment. Most of them already.
That is these 45 to 47?
Yes, most of them. I think about 5 of them. Yesterday, I lost almost all my data on my phone. But about 5 of them are in the Ashanti region and other parts of the country. Then the rest are the ones Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is talking about, that he is committed. And that commitment is very important. Each of the leaders must make that commitment towards completing Agenda 111. And it's something that we must insist. You know why? Because until COVID struck, this country lived our lives as if everything was under control when it comes to healthcare infrastructure.
COVID exposed us.
Exactly. And then COVID exposed us. Then the government decided to boldly venture out to ensure that we fix this infrastructural gap once and for all. The fact is, since independence, no government has embarked on such an audacious infrastructural fixing in our health sector at a go. And so we need that commitment. And there's a reason why I say we need that commitment. In the year 2007, President Kufuor started these Aerojet projects, about 7 of them or so, to be completed for the health sector. When he left office and handed it over to the NDC government, for 8 years, none of these Aerojet projects were completed. None. They were all left halted and left hanging until the second MPP government came to office. And now we've completed about 6 of them. So the fear is there, and the fear is real, based on evidence and based on what has happened before, that if we don't get each of the 12 people contesting in this election to commit towards completing Agenda 111, we could have a government, if not Dr. Bawumia, come in and leave all these projects hanging.
But let me just say this. Does this not sound like moving away from the very things you've also adopted? I've criticized all administrations for abandoning projects, and it's a known thing. I've read reports on how many billions of dollars Ghana loses every year based on abandoned projects. You have Saglim. You have other, in fact, for me, I always say, the Bank Hospital in the cantonment area. I even caught flack for it many years ago. This must have been, what, 20... I don't remember whether it was 2017, thereabouts. I had to personally push. And then eventually, that hospital started being used. Though, like I said, I caught a lot of flack and took bullets for it. The point being that, how does it come across if you say Agenda 111?
Yes.
You are unable to finish them. So let's say you even complete 50.
Yes.
You are left with what? 61.
Thereabout, because now it's even 140.
So I'm even saying, let's give 50. Yeah. You are left with 61.
Yes.
You can't guarantee that your candidate will win because there's no crystal ball. You have to wait till the election day.
You can't, but I can.
Then, well, if you could, you wouldn't be saying that if any other candidate, you can't guarantee
because
the
you
completion.
can't. Because I feel like you say we can't.
The other option is you also can't guarantee that any other candidate who comes will go ahead and complete them.
Yes.
So why would you want to do that to yourself? The bottom line being that why not enact projects? If you said you would do maybe 40, by this time you probably would have completed them. By targeted 111. It's not likely you'll be able to complete them. Do you get the point I'm making?
I don't. Let me explain to you.
You don't?
No, let me
So the point is, if you overshoot what you can do and you are unable to complete, it comes back to hit us, the taxpayers, with abandoned projects.
Why shouldn't we complete it?
But you also fail to complete other people's projects.
It is time limitation that is not enabling us to complete and nothing else.
So why did you, because at the time, you know this has been rolled over twice.
Relax. That is
why it has been rolled over.
That is why government,
has been rolled over
that
twice.
is why when you are choosing government, you must choose government wisely. Because if a government initiates 111 projects and each of them are in progress and there's a change in government, all you do is to ensure that the next morning you go and check on the contractor and say, where are we? How do we complete it? But you don't come and leave it. So the commitment, that is why I said, let each of the candidates commit to it. If you have a candidate like the former president that we are not sure would be able to complete this agenda, one will vote against him. Because he has records of not completing such projects. See, in the Ashanti region, I'm just coming from the Ashanti region. In the Ashanti region, he inherited 6 Aerojet projects from former President Kufuor. None of them was completed. In fact, when he started, and I'll tell you something, do not put all of us in the same bracket. The MPP has a record of completing projects which we inherited. In fact, if you're going to run a comparative analysis, which you said you have done, they don't give a blanket analysis. Show in terms of percentage between the two governments who has done the most in terms of continuing and completing, because we have done more.
I wouldn't be bothered. I'll be bothered about complete.
No.
Hold for me. I'll be bothered with 100%.
No.
Because actually, if you look at the NDPC, that is what it stands for. That is why people are saying it shouldn't even be party manifesto.
That is a convenient
national manifesto.
That is a convenient way of letting irresponsible leaders get away. Because you see, even with the current government, it is obvious that you cannot complete all your projects. And so the difference between the two in terms of who has the record of continuing and completing the most is important. The NDC handed over the NMS projects to us. These NMS projects are being done. They've been completed. The NDC handed the Aerojet project that President Kufuor handed over to them for 8 years. They didn't do it. We have come to complete them. Okay. Why do you want to put all of us in the same bracket?
So let's
we are not in the same category when it comes to continuing and completing projects.
All right.
We are better off than them.
Okay. Let's conclude the conversation. We are wrapping here. We are even past our time.
Let's do more. Let's
well, we don't have all the time for you. A Buy Ghana First policy.
Yes.
He talks about establishing small and medium enterprises, a bank for that, and creating special economic zones. The NDC has spoken about creating a women's bank and all of that. What is the concept in here, briefly? And, and how does it change anything in our banking system?
So the Buy Ghana First is not necessarily connected to the banks. The Buy Ghana is simply to say that we need to boost our local industries to reduce the pressure on our currency. And Dr. Bawumia makes a point that our first point of call when we need to procure something, even for public sector, is to go and look for an imported product to buy. And it's because we simply do not have a way to get public sector to at least look out for a locally produced good first before they look outside. So now it's discretionary. If you want, you can buy from the local company because they are not so competitive against the foreign companies. Now, he says, let us pass legislation. Let us pass laws that would ensure that public procurement would first look at local industries first. And that if you don't find it in Ghana, then go and look out for it outside Ghana. What it would do is multiple for us. One, it would ensure that the local industries have more to produce, which will lead for them to employ more. It would ensure that we are importing less, which would lead to us the strengthening of our currency, and would ensure that we have an economy where we are really living by ourselves in this country, which is very, very critical towards fixing these economic challenges that we are going through. The difference is introducing here is that back the locally manufactured goods with legislation so that at least public sector would buy from them first before they look outside to ensure that we reduce imports, strengthen our currency, get our local industries to produce more, and increase employment. Well, we wish you the very best on these projects. And of course, that is Dennis Miracles Abwaje, Director of Communications for the Bawumia campaign. Thank you for joining the conversation. Thank you, Bo.
All right. Before we go and head into our next conversation right here on the AM show, let me tell you a bit about Medicas Hospital, a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind. They have spacious wards built with your family in mind, a warm and caring pediatric unit built with your children in mind. And guess what? They have assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine, led by Dr. Yao Safo, the drive-time doctor, to serve you. So they're offering general medical services such as specialist services in plastic surgery, obstetrics, gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, and eye care. Additionally, they have a comprehensive medical diagnostics service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays and scans, as well as a 24-hour pharmacy, ensuring you'll always receive efficacious, safe, and affordable medicine. And to boot, they are bringing to you the most powerful medicine of all, simple human kindness and empathy. And they take pride in holding themselves to the highest attainable standards. They accept all forms of payment, including from private health insurance companies. So you're sorted out if you want to go that route. Locate Medicas Hospital at number 10 Kinso Street, near Ashalebotre School Junction. You can also reach them on 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340. On social media, Medicas GH, that is MEDICASGH. Medicas Hospital, a place of healing. Let me also tell you about Syntex Ghana. Ghana, get ready for the biggest giveaway from Syntex Tank. Syntex is visiting 15 communities, giving them free water. This is to say thank you, Ghana, for making us #1. Syntex, did you know, was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Did you also know that Syntex tanks came in so many colors and was the first to come out with inner white layers? They are the first on many fronts. And that's why if it's not Syntex, you might as well forget about it, like we say here. So if you're a community and you want to benefit from the Syntex free water giveaway, just log on to their social media handles at Syntex Ghana and nominate your community. The more you nominate, the better the chances that they'll come to that community. And remember, it is SINTEX, Syntex Tank. No be any tank be tanko. The correct tank is Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. Well, we bring you tough issues when we return on the AM show. Do stay. you.